Ho, ho, ho. What's going on, big steppers? Welcome to Get to Steppin with S2. I'm your host, S2, and we about to get to stepping, get to stepping. Hey. Yo, today on the first new podcast episode segment, whatever you want to call it, of Get to Steppin with S2 podcast, we're going to review the first, or that's the second segment. So we're going to review the first segment on this second segment of things as we start off the actual official podcast. You know what's funny, guys? When I first did the Get to Steppin with S2 podcast, the idea of it was for it always to be a traditional podcast. However, I just was the circumstances in my life didn't permit for it, right? It wasn't allowing for it. But that being said, it was all up here. You know what I'm saying? I thought about it, and what I want to do now is just walk you guys back, review how I believe, the podcast and the first season of everything, Get to Steppin with S2 went, and also just give you guys a life update since I've moved here back to Florida, now being in Florida, Tampa area. So how did everything shake up? How did everything shake out? How did everything end with the podcast itself, or with the first segment of things, right? So just to walk you guys back a little bit, maybe you're familiar, maybe this is your first time, checking us out, Get to Steppin with S2 podcast. If it's your first time, then what's up? What's popping? Get to Steppin. If it's not your first time, then maybe you saw a couple of months, but about a year ago now, when I moved back home. I moved from Florida back home to Cincinnati after doing real estate wholesaling full-time for 4.5 years at that time. Like 4.5 years or whatever. I had moved back home, and it was a really humbling experience for me. I'm not going to go too deep in, like I said, what happened, why. I'll make a long story short. I fell out of love with wholesaling real estate, and I found my real passion with music, and also looking to take steps to success. I really sat back and studied and really committed to myself that I want to take this media thing and this online presence thing to levels that I've been wanting to take it, but I just wanted to commit to it in a different way and be able to get the message out there more, just being everything that we have to offer. So with this segment of the Get to Steppin with S2 podcast, we're getting closer to achieving that, to touching millions of steppers all around the world. But right now in this, for the next about 30 minutes or so, I'm touching you listening to this, or you watching me on YouTube, or if you're listening to wherever you get your podcast from, be it Spotify, Apple, or wherever else you get your podcast from. We're everywhere. Get to Step with S2 podcast. So that being said, guys, let's go ahead and back up. So I moved back home. At the time I moved back home, I was done with wholesaling real estate. I had just, early 20s, earning $100K plus in real estate wholesaling. So for me, it was a humbling experience, just from the standpoint of now I'm fresh off of living in South Florida to living now in the basement of my parents' house. And it was a 12-hour drive. I had a really cool drive. It was a 16, 17-hour drive, actually, back home from Fort Lauderdale. And me driving up there, I stopped in different cities and different states and things. But I was, a lot of me was sad just because of how things ended, from the standpoint of I felt like I was losing my way in life. I was always so used to being independent, so used to having my own way, my own structure, my own everything, and holding my own and not asking anybody for anything, that I've been able to, that when it was time for me to go back and to actually, not only ask, but need help and have no choice but to accept help and all these kind of things, it was a humbling experience for me. It's actually, hindsight 2020 allowed me to grow. I always laugh when people say actually. I don't know about y'all, but when I hear somebody say actually, I'm questioning everything you say after actually. So, but that being said, I'm keeping it 100 right now. But this being said, though, when I go back home, and it caused me to have such a humbling experience, because I just, I went from, like I said, earning a ton of money, in that scope, a ton of money. When you're 20 years old, earning close to $100K, that's a ton of money, right? Especially when you're coming from being a college dropout. That's who I was, college dropout, football dropout. I'm at the time 20 years old, earning 85K a year. While the guys that I played football with, some of them were still going through a losing season at the schools that I were at. So it's my mindset had me feeling way different, right? I just went from my college coach telling me I wouldn't go ever start and make the field or ever play, Walking on a Division I school to going to a Division II school because I got fed up at the Division I school, to dropping out of school entirely, to now earning, 80 plus a year from wholesaling real estate, near 100K at 20 years old after, people around me didn't necessarily say that I could do it. So that being said, guys, I fast forward 4 years later, I started when I was 19, ended up getting my first deal at 20. I was able to drop out of school, drop out of working a full-time job at 20 years old. Ended up moving to Arizona. I'm not going to go back into the whole life story. It's a long one. You can check the YouTube channel, you know what I'm saying, if you're that interested. If you like to see it, it's well documented since April of 2020, everything that I'm telling you. So this being said, though, I remember the first day me just walking in my parents' house or whatever. I walk in and like everybody's so excited to see me because, growing up, I was always moving around different areas. I never lived in the same area, just from the standpoint of playing football, college, and then once I was in Cincinnati for a year, and I ended up going out to Arizona, then South Florida, then back to Cincinnati. I'm 23 at that time. I was 24. So I'm 24 years old, getting back home, and I'm like, everybody's excited to see me. When I say everybody, my parents, my siblings, close family. But I just wasn't fully excited within myself because I just wasn't, it was the reason I was there. It was reason in my mind because I failed, right? So I had like maybe 2-3 days where I just kind of moped around and people kind of just were giving me this space, right? Like I said, family seeing me, they giving me their space. By 2-3 days up to a week, I'm just kind of like in this feeling of failure. I'm just kind of like feeling like that. I'm kind of moseying around, really not even knowing what to do because like I never worked a full-time. Well, I worked a full-time job for like less than a year after I dropped out of school. And then after that, it was a complete full-time in real estate wholesaling. So I just didn't know what to do. I was walking around for like a week. I'm just like, damn, what am I about to do? So this being said, I ended up talking to a close friend of mine. He's still somebody I talk to this day. We've done business deals together. He kind of just was like, bro, I came up in my mind, actually, I'll go back a little bit, before I ever talked to him, that I was going to move to Dubai. And partly because I was just done with, and this is like the start of Get2Steppin with 𝐿 podcast. I'm going to move to Dubai. And this is partly because I was just so done with wholesaling real estate. That was like a big part of it. But then the second part is because I naturally am a traveler. I love just exploring different parts of the world, specifically the United States. But then I hadn't had my passport yet. So now I was like, man, let me actually go out and explore the world. I'm still in my young 20s. I still have the mindset that I'm independent. I'm young, wealthy, all these kind of things. I still have that mindset, though my circumstances are not displaying that, right? So this being said, the reason I had quit wholesaling and doing everything that I was doing, and like I said, I'm not trying to go too deep into this, but the reason why I quit it, and it was like a slowly progression of quitting it, it was mainly I had discovered my real calling and my real passion for music. So I had always, had the calling from the standpoint of the real estate and me teaching people on the internet. And I believe as you guys go back and look through the content, you'll be able to tell the slowly progression of the content, right? So in the beginning, it was just me, teaching people about wholesaling real estate. Mainly, there were a lot of people around me kind of curious on what I was doing. So I thought it'd be great for me to centralize all of the conversations I had and just putting it on YouTube, and so people can look at it. And also, I learned wholesaling from YouTube. So it was just a natural next step. Then you go to the people that, then you go, like I said, the next step of that is me being in a position where, kind of losing my train of thought, my bad, let me stay with it. To back up a little bit, me going to Dubai, just to kind of summarize it, the main thing was that I was done with wholesaling real estate. I love traveling, and I also enjoy real estate from the standpoint of everything that I do. And like I said, the reason why, that's where I was at, why I stopped with Steps to Success. I stopped with Steps to Success because I was indulging more in my creative side. I stopped with the wholesaling side of my business because I was indulging in my creative side, even though I knew that my wholesaling side is what funded my creative side. It's what funded my lifestyle. Still does, funds my creative side, my lifestyle, all these kind of things. However, at that time, I just was over it because there was diminishing returns, right? I was cold calling more. I'm making less money. I'm just like not seeing the results. And anybody that's an entrepreneur, I'll just broaden into entrepreneur. I won't even say wholesaling real estate, but anybody who's an entrepreneur, you understand that depending on what kind of entrepreneur lane that you're in, that it can be really just demoralizing when you're consistently doing something and not seeing any results from it, right? I feel like anybody can relate to that. So from that being said, that's where I was at that time in wholesaling real estate. You know, I moved from Scottsdale, Arizona to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then, you know, I moved in like Las Olas. So I'm down there, like I was on 2nd Street. Down there in the heart of everything, right? So what I say that to say, I ended up paying more in rent. That was the first year I had earned, you know, over $100,000. I was like 22 or whatever, going on 23. I earned over 100K, and I'm excited. So I'm like, all right, bet. Like I'm about to only go up with wholesaling real estate. But I get there, my returns start, you know, diminishing. I furnish my place. I do a lot of things. I spend a lot of money is what I'm saying. My bank account at this point, my savings is starting to diminish. I closed another wholesale deal from that I was working on. Then I discovered this thing called music, and I discovered I can do music. Then I started spending a lot of money in the studio. Started spending more money on my, you know, just me trying to create an image for myself. I just simplified to that. And all of these things, everything started building up, and beyond the money, I was spending my time and energy learning about music, learning how to do music, writing songs, doing all these different things, which I enjoyed so much more than sitting back and cold calling, that it was more fun for me to do these things. At first, there was a balance, right? There was a balance from like, I'm cold calling, you know, my regular schedule. I at least like to get, at that time, it was 50 cold calls in a day. Which paid the bills and really had me thriving. 50 cold calls a day. If for you watching this, if you're curious, just make 50 cold calls a day. Your life will change. Trust me. So that being said, I'm, you know, like I said, 23. I'm 8 floors up. That's where the song comes from. I got the floor to ceiling windows. The crib ended up getting nice. Wasn't much of a TV watcher, so I didn't have a TV. Took me a little second to get a couch, but I got a couch. The first thing I had furnished was my bedroom. So the whole bedroom set was real nice. And I had my office area, and then I had, you know, my kitchen, and the boy let it eat. So I was eating good. All that being said, real estate wholesaling went by the wayside, right? I'm going out more. I was going out just because I lived in that area and I don't like drinking and driving. So I was just walking right down the street over on 2nd Street, if you're familiar with Las Olas and that whole area or whatever. So I'm down by the wharf and on 2nd Street, all that type of stuff all the time, just because I'm in that area and I just like take walks and I'm, you know, running to the beach. That's just what I was doing. All of that being said, I was going on what felt best versus what I knew I had to do. So this is about to progress and ramp up a little bit more. This is, like I said, this is just the first episode, catching you guys up on everything we've been through to the point that we at now. And then after that, you know what I'm saying, we getting a step in on what this podcast really entails. But that being said, so as I fall out of love with that's why I say fall out of love, because I just fell out of love with the process. Whereas my life, when I was in Scottsdale, when I was in Cincinnati and all these different areas, for one, everything that you're seeing, right, this was all secondary. This was never the main thing that I had to do, because I understood that my passion and what really drove me and what paid the bills and what, you know, my ultimate level of success is to own real estate. So my path to do that was wholesaling real estate, to build up the capital to invest back into the wholesaling real estate business. I messed up in South Florida because I deviated from that structure, right? It was no longer that this was secondary. This became equally as important as real estate, or even more important, once I realized the fulfillment factor that I was really getting, because I had voids in other areas of my life. And that's just me after doing reflections, right? So anyway, music and this becomes more important than real estate, even though real estate is what makes me be able to do everything that I'm able to do. That being said, at that time, I fall away from it. And the reason I fall away from it is because, like I said, you know, I just fell out of love with it. I go back home. My thought process starts churning. I like to travel. Dubai. Let's just go there. I go to Dubai, right? Now in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm going to Dubai. How much money do I need to go to Dubai? $100,000. And now here we go. Finally, I got you guys to the start. This is the review of the Steps to Success and the Get to Steppin with S2 podcast, which originally, if you're familiar, was called 88 Days Until Dubai. Now, faithfully, I covered that backstory up. I'm sure as, you know, life and as time progresses, more of my backstory will, come out in various ways, music being one of the main ones, and also through this channel here with the podcast. So that being said, as I, figure out that this is the plan, now I announce it to my family. I announce it to everybody. This is the plan. And like I said, we can go into a whole deep dive. This can be so many sub videos that I'm just trying to skim through it so I can get you guys to the point of the Get2Steppin with S2 podcast, this is where we're at. I call one of my guys. I tell him, bro, I'm about to get up out of here. I'm going to Dubai. I'm about to, stack up some cash for the summer. I'm back wholesaling. So I think now you kind of get the image of I wasn't wholesaling until I decided I was going to Dubai. Like I was spent like 3 days to a week at home moseying around. I had some, my uncle was there. Bro smoked a lot. I was smoking. We out kicking it like every day dang near, chilling with my pops, like I said. And actually it took me some time to rekindle a relationship with my pops when I moved back home. So that was great just for me. There was a lot of things, hindsight 2020, on why I had to go back home. But we about to get there. I'm getting ahead. Now, this being said, stay right here. I put myself in a position where, okay, now the only way for me to do what I want, right, because there's something that I want again, I'm going to go to, a different country, and I'm going to experience, being young in a different country and doing real estate, something a pastime love, but I'll be doing it in a different capacity, being that I was going to be a realtor over there, and I was going to move there for that reason, right? So, excuse me. As I talk to my guy, I'm like, yo, I'm about to, move to Dubai, man, that's dope. You should record the whole thing. Man. You should do it. You're young. You still doing it. If I had the opportunity, I'd do it. I had an opportunity. I kind of wish I would have did it. So do it. But you should record the whole thing. That way people can see the transition, from you being at your, your mom's house, and to you transitioning, to going to Dubai. That's going to be a crazy thing. People root for you, XYZ. Just capturing the journey. I was like, man, it's a great idea. I'm going to start doing it. So about 2-3 days after that phone call, right when we got that phone call, I started, just picking up the phone, wholesaling. Because the idea was like, bro, I'm about to be wholesaling, help me move on some stuff that I die. He's like, oh, for sure, I got you. So I start wholesaling again. I pick up the phone, or I pick up the camera, and I just start recording. And that's Get2Steppin with S2. That was it. Now, it was 88 days until Dubai. It was what it was going to be called. We go like, I want to say 10 or 11 episodes where it was 88 days until Dubai. And then I ended up switching the name to Get2Steppin with S2 when I decided I was not going to Dubai. I believe I kind of covered this in a previous video as far as why I wasn't going to go to Dubai, or why I decided to not go to Dubai. To touch a little deep on, or to gloss over, not go too deep, it was a accumulation of things, right? The biggest thing being where I was at in my life, you feel me? And then number two, I did not necessarily like the money structure, right? Because I believe, and it's been a second since I did it, but I believe it's been a second. I used to know the name of it. It's like Dirham, I believe, is a Dubai. Y'all about to make me Google it real quick. Hold up. Dirham. It's a dirham. So yeah, a dirham. 1 dirham was equal to about $4 US, I believe. 1 dirham was equal to about $4 US. And then, don't quote me on that. But it was 1 to 4 ratio. I remember it was about that, right? So I think it's some change, but it's 1 to 4. So, like I said, first thing where I was at in my life is I was in a state of having to run up a bag, right? So my idea is like me going to Dubai with 100K, I'm going to Dubai with 400K in their, currency. And then I was looking up, how much money out there. You got to pay rent for a year in advance. And then it's like a whole bunch of different things when it comes to the money structure. So I just want to make sure I was okay monetarily, right? So I sit back and I'm like, all right, how am I about to do this? So I do what I know how to do best. I pick up the phone, you know what I'm saying? Pick up the phone, baby. Oh, wow. Somebody just texted me. So anyway, I pick up the phone and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? What's up? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Cold calling all day. How many licks till I get paid? I'm cold calling is what I'm saying. So now I'm back on my cold calling, I'm thinking. And I realized after 3 days of recording that I done filled up a SIMS card. And my Sims card, they hold about 4 to 6 hours, depending on the settings, sometimes 2 hours. But I ended up resetting it, so it was 4 hours, 4 to 7 hours, depending on my settings, right? So I fill up one 4-hour Sims card in 3 days. I'm like, yo, I'm about to have hold up. I got to figure out, so I'm trying to record everything. Now, mind you, I'm like, man, it'd be dope. And this is like 4 days of me doing this. Is like, we're talking May of 2023. I'm like, man, this would be so dope if I had a light, if I had a mic, a camera, if I had like a nice backdrop, if I had like, I don't want to let people see this because I'm at my parents' house. I'm there. But if I had this, that, and that, I really like to do it. And da. So now there's all this self-doubt going through my head because I'm like kind of embarrassed of my circumstances. Like I said, I'm somebody who jumped out the gates earning a lot of money relative to my age and relative to just where I grew up around and what I've seen. So I'm somebody who did that. Now I'm coming back here, 24 years old. Now you want me to come back out the gates with this whole background, this whole backdrop with my truth, basically. And once I got there with my truth, it slowed down, it slowed my heart rate down, it slowed my mindset down. I'm like, wait a minute, it's my truth. So like bro was saying, if anything, it's not embarrassing. People can relate to it. And do you really believe in yourself? Do you really think this is going to be where you at? I know you hate wholesaling real estate. I know you don't like what you're doing. I know you don't feel like you're doing what you ultimately want to be doing, which is the media side of things and the music side of things. But this is your truth. This is your journey. And ain't that's what we about. Ain't that's what we about sharing. Ain't we basically encapsulating the journey for ourselves because we're trying to show ourselves everything that we wish we could have saw when we were 12 or 13 or something, everything we could have heard when we were 12 or 13 years old. If we're trying to reach that time frame, we got to show this stage of it. All right. Damn, you really want me to do that? All right, bet, I'm going to do it. Now, how am I going to do it? I got all this footage. Well, you could try to minimize the margin for error by kind of holding on to that footage and kind of just releasing it periodically. That way you can figure out if any of this that you saying that you're promising and that you're talking about you're going to do, if it even is going to work. Maybe you should pace yourself a little bit. Give yourself a little margin for error. Something you didn't do quite good at when you were earning all this money and you were spending it and living, doing this and that. You didn't give yourself too much of a margin for error. That's kind of why you're on the rat race of wholesaling. So let's give yourself margin for error when it comes to this, which you love more than real estate, and you don't want to mess this up. So let's keep going. That's what the thought process was when creating We Step with S2, and everything that's happened since releasing it and now ending the episode, which the next episode, the last episode is being released this week. So, and I'm not sure when you guys will see this, because like I said, that's how my mind works now. It's knowing that shit happens, things happen in your life, and you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to stay in motion despite outer circumstances. And I learned that with wholesaling real estate the first time, right? But within my creative space, something that's way more close to home to me. It took me going through, took in what I learned from real estate and life and that quote unquote failure to apply it to this for me to stay in motion and could just keep in motion unlike any way that I ever did before. And now we're monetized and now a lot of great things are happening behind the scenes because that's how I work now. I understand that people don't create movies that you see at the cinema. Avatar was created, Avatar 3 is supposed to release in 2026, and it's been in the making since 2012, 2013. Since they stopped the last one is what I'm getting at, right? Grand Theft Auto took years to make, and now they're still about to come out with it, I think next year, 2025. But it's been in the making since the last one, and I was in, I want to say middle school, 7th, 8th grade. What I'm saying is planning. That's where we're getting at, planning. And the planning that I didn't do then, I'm doing now. And I'm doing it in all areas of my life now. And what happened though? Like now that we kind of got that capsulated, I think we kind of time capsuled that. Like I said, this episode is not indicative of what's to come, but it kind of is, but not really, not fully. But I got to get y'all the backstory. So this is this special episode, and I'm, capsulating this for myself as well. So this being said, it put me in a position where after it was May. It was when I dropped the first one. I want to say June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months. I moved back in, like, I want to say end of April, May. So I was back at home for 6-7 months. During that time, as you guys watched throughout the wholesaling or throughout the Get2Steppin with S2 podcast, you were able to see me close a few deals. It was I think you saw that smile on my face. Like, it felt so good just to get a deal closed. I still remember the first one. I was in the parking lot with my mom eating canes, and I got that moment on camera. I was in the parking lot with my mom eating some canes. I had a six-piece combo. I was so excited. She had took me to get some canes. I took her to like a doctor's appointment, and she took me to get some canes. I was like, let's go. So I'm in the car. The buyer calls back, and he was like, yeah, D'Angelo, I just want to go see it. How's $74,000 or something like that. Long story short, it was a $12,000 payday. Boom. Get to stepping. Hey, I was so excited, right? $12K. And this is like still a long time. I'm going to Dubai, right? $12K. I hit that one. He had another unit. He ended up selling somebody else, but I'm like, yo, this could be a $24K pop. Wasn't that? And I hit up like another $10K deal, like I want to say a month later, so $22K. And then I hit up like another $3 or $4K deal, had me like 26. And I hit up like another, basically all being said, I left for like $35K. And it was like within 6-7 months. And it was a really solid 6 months, $35K. It was it gave me confidence, like, yo, I can really do this. Like, I'm leaving. Mind you, I had back a lot of stuff I had to pay. So, like, it wasn't just like I left, and moved to Florida with $35K. It wasn't that at all. I would have moved to Dubai probably if I just really was able to sit on it, but I couldn't. I had bills and stuff to pay. So, I came down here with a good amount of money in my pocket. Now I'm trying to progress you guys. Post Get2Steppin with S2 podcast, season number 1 or segment 1. I got to figure out how I'm going to phrase that. All right. So now we're in a position where we're moving to, Tampa, moving to Tampa. I got the place. I was really excited. I don't even think I'll put that out, but I got my place. I was really kind of, because mind you, the previous year, that was the least amount of money I had ever earned in wholesaling real estate, which was, I want to say like around $65,000. Like, and that shows you like just on some humble stuff, like 65,000 is still a nice, whatchamacallit. And like, you want to understand why I now know this, right? Because, excuse me, we'll get to it. Stick with me. If you're interested in learning, just like I said, the story's kind of wild. So anyway, 65,000 like that previous year. So I'm like, yo, like I got my place, my place, everything lined up with the rent. I was able to show. I'm like, all right, bet, let's do that. So I did that, put the deposit down. Everything was smooth. So I get here and now they're back up like 2 months, maybe. Yeah, back up 2 months. I believe you guys saw when I visited Tampa and all these things. And I decided that, okay, what did I do back in the last 3 or 4 years or, 4 years of wholesaling real estate full time? What did I do then that I wish I would have done different? And the biggest thing that I wish I would have done different, or I wish could have happened differently is, man, for me to have a team, bro. And that's just me keeping it a buck with y'all, man, for me to actually have a team. And I tried so many times to put a team together. I tried. But here's the thing, bro. I tried within the best way I know how, which is why I'm less hard on myself within the last couple of weeks than I always was. So I used to be hard on myself about this. But in the last, like I say, 2 or 3 weeks, I've really loosened because I've learned a lot more. But I tried, but I only tried with people that I knew, right? I only tried with close family and friends. I'll just leave it at that. So me trying with close family and friends, when I say try, I mean like investing time into them, teaching them the process, signing them up for my systems, putting them in systems, paying money, doing a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to do because the embetterment of really everybody, right? Because this is a freaking wholesaling real estate. I'm 22, just earned over 100, over 100K at 22, 23. So imagine if I got you doing it with me, right? Let's think about to just 20 years old when I was 19, 20, over 80K, right? I'm like, imagine if you doing it with me. Imagine if you doing it with me. Imagine if you. I remember when I first before I ever got my first deal, I had like a lot of close family and friends over my first apartment. I was like 19 years old. And I was telling them about wholesaling real estate because I just was really excited about the opportunity that it could provide. And everybody was intrigued about it. But nobody stuck with it. Nobody wanted to do anything with it, right? And I followed up with those same people, asked them if they wanted to help with it. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. It kind of started as a pipe dream. So this being said, I'm the 19, 20-year-old that's dumb enough to believe a pipe dream, I guess, right? So that's what I mean by get to stepping. Hey. Nah, but that's who I am. That's me, right? So like I say, this whole time, and I'm only going back into it because I feel like this is important for the story. So me teaching people and me, you know what I'm saying? And when I say teaching people, guys, I'm talking about hands-on sales experience. I'm talking about sales classes. I'm talking about Zoom calls. I'm talking about, hey, be on at this time. Be on at this time. I'm talking about really giving my all on top of doing my business and making sure everything is progressing. Because at this point, remember, social media is secondary to my business. But I'm also still doing social media as well. I understood in the beginning that this was two entrepreneurial paths, social media and your real estate thing, but real estate is number one. But in order for me to get this social media popping how I wanted to, I need more money coming in. How do I make more money come in? More people around me. Maybe if I could bring some more people around. They said that let me not get too deep into that because it's still something that's kind of just like, it's weird for me. I'm like, I've grown more empathetic and I've learned more, but it's really weird because I was 19, 20, and people saw how much help that I needed during that time. Nobody was like, yo, let me go do it with you. That being said, there was people around me that did provide help in ways that I'm very grateful for to this present moment. They're still helping me and they know who they are. So yeah, like I said, guys, I did a lot. Like shout out to y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. And I did a lot like during that time to really spread awareness for wholesale and real estate and to really do my best. And when I say my best, I mean literally my best. I didn't know any other thing, right? So do my best to start an actual business. And that's just like, from the standpoint of business, I mean like having other people come along with me and on this journey of real estate investing, right? Obviously, it was self-motivated from the standpoint if I wanted to invest more money into Steps to Success and the creative side. This is before I ever knew about music and my talent. I always had a love for it, but I didn't know about my musical talents. So as I learned about my musical talent and as I, progressed through things, as I got back to all right, boom. So this before me ever learning about my musical talent and any of those things, right? I wanted to have that money just to stack it up so I can invest just into the platform itself and to just spreading knowledge about wholesale and real estate itself as I'm doing in ways. And I've learned that now I have to be more indirect with my marketing and with my, ultimate objective. I got to be indirect with it. So anyway, this being said, a lot of these things, I'm really excited for this episode, for this season of Get2Steppin with us too. But so this being said, as I get down to Tampa, what I learned before is that I wish I would have done it with people. Like I said, everything that happened has happened, is what it is. But I did recognize that anytime I had somebody else around that was in the process with me, I was always excited. Like I was like excited to the point that the person doing it with me, they might be like annoyed, like, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or either annoyed or they're very motivated when I'm around and like while we with each other, but then when they go out on their own, because this was all virtual type stuff. And mind you, this was all family and friends. And that's what I messed up at, just to be all the way real with you. Like now I'm like I understand just from all the experiences that I went through. It's like, nah, family and friends is like the last dang near people you want to go to unless you got somebody that really y'all locked in like that and y'all got the same aligned, you have the aligned narrative, aligned goals, aligned mission, aligned purpose. If you have somebody who has an aligned purpose, then you are actually in a great position. It could be a partner and I say partner, I mean like your significant other in a romantic situation. If you have somebody like that and y'all also not only just physically attracted to each other, but you guys also have aligned purpose and they're about what they say they're about, then you guys can actually get to step in together and actually do something. The same with your family and your friends. If you have a family member that's really aligned on that same mission, on that same level with you, and because everybody want to be successful, everybody want it, but it's about who want to do the work. Wholesale and real estate is just one way to become successful. There's 1,000 other ways, and that's where my empathy has grown to. Like, that's why I'm able to talk about that past life and things that I experienced when I was, like, it blows my mind sometimes that I'm 26, I swear. But I'm 26, right? So, and I, just turned 26 not too long ago, but I've experienced so much from, it's like, on one hand, I'm 26, but on the other hand, I feel like I'm a 50-year-old, 60-year-old who just, they always was pushing to be great, but they just never pushed through that barrier to do it. On one hand, I feel like I'm 26 and I got the world in front of me, but on the other hand, it's like did my, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep in that. I got very introspective thoughts, and they'll come out randomly during my speeches and just me talking, right? But that being said, on one hand, that's how I presently, feel. I'm starting to feel better in the current days, and you guys going to understand why, because these last few months has been anything but. We'll talk about it. But my 19 to 25 was so hard. Like, it was hard, but it was easy. The money was coming in so easy, but I wanted so much more, and I didn't have any support around me. And I always felt like I'm the kind of person who felt like I needed that, right? And that's why I felt like I needed it from people that I was close with. And it's like, now I'm learning how to separate the fact that we're a family and the fact that our goals and our morals still don't have to be aligned just because we're family. And just because you say you want something, I don't have to hold you accountable to that because I'm your family, right? I'm the kind of person, if you right there look into this, you tell me something that you wanted, I'm going to be like, hey, did you do that yesterday? Did you do that? Some people, they find that like I'm trying to be a father or like I'm annoying or nah, I'm not like that. I'm only like that with you because I'm like that with myself. As within, so without. I'm only like that with you because I'm like that with myself. I'm only going to hold you accountable because I'm going to hold myself accountable. And that's why I've been able to reach the levels of success that I've been able to reach in my life, because I've been the one holding myself accountable. But I always wanted what I had when I was growing up, from the standpoint of just having a team. That's why football, right? I wrestled when I was in middle school, but nothing compared to football because there was a team component. Because when I looked at the other person to the right of me, I was a linebacker. I looked at the person to the right of me, the person in front of me, the person behind me, or to the side of me. I know that their mission, their goals, their morals, their values are exactly aligned with what I say mine. I thought I wasn't recording. That's why I look like that. But I know that everything that they say that they about because I'm about it. And we done been through the trenches together. I always wanted that. So when I looked for it in people that I was closer to and I couldn't find it, it drove me insane, because on one hand, like, they said they want these things, but then when I came and tried to let's do it, it was like, all right, but it was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was like, I don't know. I grew to understand that everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not built to experience the highs and lows of this. Everybody wants it, but everybody's just simply not built for it. And that's just the reality of life. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to know who you are. You got to know yourself. And you also got to know who you're dealing with, being as a leader. And I consider myself a leader because I've been a leader since I've been young. So as a leader, you got to know who you're dealing with. You got to know how this person going to react to what you're going to do, or what can possibly happen to the next. What can possibly happen? How would they react if this possibly happened? And let alone if it does happen and they react, then you're really going to look at them differently. And that's why I say I feel like I'm 50 plus, because it was people close to me that I was like, damn, I looked at you differently. And I just can't help but look at you differently now, because it's just the way the freaking world works, right? It's just like, man, if I can't do it with you, then who can I do it with? And that's what my 19 to 25 consisted of. If I can't do it with you, 19 to 23, 24 consisted of. If I can't do it with you, then who can I do it with? And that was 5 years of my life. Only reason I say 19 to 24 is because before me moving back home, I didn't have that time to really, get closer to people that I had, ambiguous feelings about. I was finally in their presence, and then we were able to talk things out, and I just seeing how people operate more. And as I said, and this is for you growing up, maybe if you're watching this, when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you're looking at people who's 20, 21, not 20, but maybe 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 plus. You're looking at grown-ups as superheroes. When you grow up and you're earning dang near $100K at 20 years old, and you got the means to do it, and these superheroes whom you think you can build a super collective with, and y'all can just go freaking destroy the world together, you realize it's not like that. No, it's just, man, everybody's their own person, and it takes some growing to get to that point. All right, This was not supposed to go. That's why I got so much catch up with y'all on, man. I'm excited for the season. But to get to, maybe I'll just make this a different episode then. Maybe I'll stop it here, actually. Because I want to talk to y'all about what happened moving here in November, moving to Tampa in November. On the last episode of Get2Steppin with S2, you guys saw me, at my place. This is the place that I, moved to. But you guys had heard me mentioning some people regarding the brokerage. I can get into it a little bit right here, but we're going to go deeper. But this being said, regarding the brokerage, ended up going to Mitchell Dean Realty is where I worked at. I decided that I was never able to wholesale with people, close to me. Maybe it'll work if I go to join a brokerage, get my real estate license. And they also had a different approach to wholesaling. They mainly were working with like on market properties. And then also you're able to get the percentage as like as a part of your wholesale deal, being like you still get your 3% as part of your wholesale deal, whatever percentage you work out with the seller type stuff, right? So, because the way you present it to them, which everything that they're doing down there, I'm not about to give away all the sauce. I ain't about to give away all the sauce, but the way that they approach things down there, it's official. And yeah, check them out. Mitchell Dean Realty, great people, great place. This being said, my experience at Mitchell Dean Realty, this is when I first got to Tampa, right? After Get2Steppin with S2 podcast ends, I joined a brokerage. I joined a brokerage, Mitchell Dean Realty, in Largo, Florida. So, regarding the brokerage itself, I had a great experience there. I'm talking about it in past tense, so you can see that I'm no longer there. I had a great experience there. I joined in November. I left the brokerage in February. I want to say like the beginning of February. Ironically enough, I got my first wholesale deal in February, but like my very first one, not that one. But so I was unsuccessful with getting my first wholesale deal closed there, right? So just to kind of give you, to not go into too deeper detail, because like I said, it's really a great place. It just wasn't for me. There was the way, just, traveling wise and just certain expectations and things that it just wasn't for me. And this is my own personal experience. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I do believe that overall it's a great place, especially if you're, just learning the ins and outs of wholesaling real estate. You'll have very close hands-on experience. Now, to talk about the pros of being with Mitchell Dean Realty, I came across a great group of guys. Great group of guys. If y'all tuned in, y'all know what it is. It's all love. I know we don't talk that much, but if you tuned in, definitely appreciate you. And, life happens, bro, but I'm definitely reaching out soon, man. I know I didn't say that, but it's all love. Maybe you're watching this, you understand what I've been going through. Anyway, the time there, I really don't have anything to say about it, man, other than that it just didn't work out for me. And there's a lot of ways that I learned of wholesaling real estate that I went on to implement just in my daily routine and just in my daily approach to a lot of things. The biggest thing that I loved about the place was actually having guys to work around, being around other like-minded individuals from the standpoint of other steppers that's really getting to it on a daily basis, that's even motivating me on how their work ethic is and even seeing their results and their success. When I didn't close any deals down there, I was so excited to see others close deals because I'm like, damn, that's what it looked like then. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. I was genuinely excited, although it was not working out for me. And that's why I had to choose, for my best interest as far as what works out for me. And regarding, just like I said, the guys and still people that I connect with outside of real estate from the standpoint of outside of being in the same work environment, still somebody that I can grab still people that I can grab drinks with and just kick it with type stuff. And just to touch on that even more, throughout my years of wholesaling by myself, I was lonely. I had nobody to really get in the trenches with me. And I think anybody knows that when you're really on your journey of success, it's a lonely ass. It's lonely, bro. Like, and it's crazy. Shout out to Matt. That's the broker there at Mitchell Dean Realty. If you guys check him out, he had gifted me with the book, The Alchemist. I still have the hard copy. It's crazy because he, I'm pretty sure he was tuned in a little bit with the journey type stuff, but it was just like he said, like, bro, this book is really just reminds like it's everything that you are. This is inside this book. You just read it type stuff. So I read it and like the book still sticks with me to this day. This being said, at the brokerage, I was in a position where it was best for me to leave the brokerage, right? It was I was traveling a long time to get there. There were certain expectations of me actually being in office that, somebody like myself who was entrepreneur for the last 4 or 5 years, it doesn't fare well. Like at first I was just excited. So I'm like, hey, I'm about to go do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be down there. But then it's after a while, it's like, I'm not being paid to be here. That's kind of like what the ultimate thing kind of basically was. Like, I'm not being paid to be here. And then working numbers out wise, like I said, I'm not going to touch too much into it, but it's just like, I've already done it by myself. So like, why should I do certain things? But I kind of think like all of these things being encapsulated with each other, it just didn't work out. We both agreed that it was best to go our separate ways, with love being at the center of it. So peace and blessings to y'all. And that's my piece on Mitchell Dean Realty. So after leaving Mitchell Dean Realty, I want to touch on this. I was lonely during those years. So finally being around people, I was lonely during those, 4 years doing it by myself. Even back at my parents' house and me cold calling, I was in a corner. Y'all saw me. I'm in here in a corner. You know what I'm saying? Mom's cooking. My little sister trying to watch TV. I'm over here like, Madeline, be quiet. You need to be quiet. Close the door. I got a freaking 10 and 11-year-old telling me I need to be quiet. I'm like, bro, how the hell? Like, I'm too much of a player for this, bro. Like, come on, man. I done have my own. Come on. Nah, this ain't how life works. So all that did was put fuel in my back. Every time just a little things would happen, I'd be like, nah, So, all right. More laughs. I probably laughed more than I said there, but it just was a funny time period. So all the loneliness that I went through, it was cool to finally be around people doing something. And what I noticed is, much like football and much like throughout my whole life, guys, my closest friendships throughout my life have always come from us bonding over one thing. From there being one goal, one mission that 2 people are stepping towards, 2+ people are stepping towards. That's how my closest friends, everybody else were acquaintances. I teach my little sister about this all the time. The difference between a friend and acquaintance. I preach about it. Because I was preached to it. People preach to me about it. But, acquaintances are the people that you walk past in the hallway. Hey, what's up? You see them at work. Hey, how you doing? Your friends is somebody that's going to extend beyond work. It's going to extend beyond when you're on the football field. It's going to extend beyond the locker room. It's going to extend beyond when you're in the classroom together. It's going to extend beyond when you're in the gym. It's going to extend beyond these things to where somebody you can, yo, how you doing? You good? All right. Maybe chop it up for X amount of time. You get lost in time. You get to kicking it with your friends. So I felt like, everybody there at Mitchell Dean, like the atmosphere itself was very friendly. All the guys, open hearts, open arms, all friendly. I just think that if we would have stayed together longer, the friendship would have become more, would have fostered more. Because we're talking like 3 or 4 months. And we're talking like had a great connection over those 3 or 4 months. But that's who I am as a person. It doesn't surprise me. Because anybody that I work with, I'm like, yo, like we all in. We building. Let's do it. And that's why I couldn't understand on like why, I don't know, maybe the universe has its plans for me. That's why I say on one hand, I'm 52, other one I'm 26, bro. Because I couldn't understand with 19 to 24, I'm a team-oriented individual. Why can't I build a damn team? Like, it used to keep me up at night. I never talked to anybody about it because I didn't know who I could talk to. Because everybody I was talking to, I was trying to make them be a part of the damn team, bro. All right. I finally had my team experience. Great guys. Great time. Now I'm 25. I leave the brokerage. My guys, we stay in contact for like a week or two. Afterwards, 2 weeks. I'm reaching out. They're reaching out. I got to be better at reaching out. But I'm in my head. I'm thinking like, bro, what am I about to do next, right? So what's going to happen next? This is where I start cold calling by myself. And this is where the quote unquote dark months kind of start, right? Where I went off this high of, man, I just earned, $35K in like 6 months after only earning $65K last year. Like, imagine if I did all this for the whole year. I got people with me now. I'm about to go down and join a brokerage. I'm about to be living it. I'm about to all that just, none of it worked out how I imagined it. The money I had, ran through it. The friends and the environment that I built, I just left it. The reason I moved down here, I just left that. My home at the time, I'm sleeping on the floor still because I'm on a grind trying to get a dang on deal closed and make sure I got enough money to pay all my bills. Man, it was just dark times, you know? It was dark times. I vowed to myself, my parents, my family when I left that I would never put them in a situation that I put them in, because they had to help me certain times, right? That times when I'm in Florida, down South Florida, I'm just suddenly done with wholesaling real estate. And I pride myself on being responsible. This is why I understand that I really feel like everything happened for a reason, because I am a responsible and very disciplined person. So for me to do these things that's not like me, I'm like, wow, man, it's just nothing making sense. Get to the same almost situation, where rent is due. I don't know how I'm going to pay it. Where I'm lonely again, super lonely. I ain't got no dog, got nobody just to talk to. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. I just didn't. I'm like, yo, I just moved down here. I just did this Get2Steppin with S2 podcast. What am I going to do? How do I actually reach levels of success that I had when I was 21? 20. Easily could earn $10K a month, like easily. Like when I say easily, I pick up the phone 2 times, somebody answered, they want to sell me a house. What's going on with me? What am I doing wrong? Lots of late nights, tears, non-answer phone calls, because when things not going how I imagine, I don't want to talk to anybody. So people are calling me, I'm not answering. I don't want to talk to you right now. But I need you. But I need you. But I promise you that I wouldn't do the same thing I just did. So, damn, what am I going to do? I'm 25. New city. All the hopes, dreams, aspirations. Got to get back in the studio. I got to get a job. That's what I got to do. And that is episode 1 of Get2Steppin with S2, guys. This is actually episode 77. So, the 76, actually. 76, guys. Episode 76 Get2Steppin with S2. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Whether you listening to this on your phone, on your phone device, Spotify, Apple, whether you listen to me there, whether you watching it on YouTube, you know what I'm saying, or you can watch this on Spotify, wherever floats your boat. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Yo, until next time, man. As always, get to stepping, man. Just get to stepping. We're going to the rest later.